You must let it happen. And then you are totally relaxed, making no attempts to bring in or change any experiences of the moment. By and by, the relaxation in your body and calmness in your mind emerges.
Fucking cowards.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely art. I don't know if I could say, why, but it's weirdly enough, a lot of artists have a noise, do noise, and that to me they're really natural to go together. Is noise with music, or noise and art. I would say I've been doing this about 20 years. I wasn't really doing harsh noise when I started. I was really more just making weirdo improvisations, and it was, small town people doing weird stuff and knowing that really nobody cared, and there was like liberating. I didn't really start playing proper like noise, like knowing what it was, calling it that, and being in that world until like 2005 in Ojuelasca. When I was in junior high and high school, I liked your typical Sonic Youth and Pavement, and so they opened my mind up to dissonance in music, and I was playing those in bands like that. And then my cousin Warren Realrider, who records this or plays this Tick Suck, and he had a Merzbow, who's like the king of Japanese noise. he had a Merzbow video, and we watched that for like an hour, and it felt different after that. It was, I felt like I learned something and found a new world. I felt like I had just gotten clued into something that I really liked. And then later on, I mean, what we come from, the scene, the noise music is mostly inspired by Japanese noise of the late 70s, early 80s, and which became an American thing, and we all come from that tradition of the American noise. But I think that a lot of it it goes back to before it was like noise music and people like making records in an underground world. I think there were people on the edges, or leaders in modern or in composition, that were they were all using noise and dissonance in their compositions. Electronic music, tape music, they were all using noise, but they were just trying to find a new language outside of the language of music, the 12-tone scale. They were trying to find another way, another vernacular, another language.
I'm Gardner from the project Campbell and Gardner. This is Campbell.
I'm from St. Louis.
He's not going to speak any words.
George Chris.
Okay, for these noise shows, like a lot of local music doesn't really, not to talk shit, but doesn't necessarily do it for me. Just in terms of like the Tulsa music style, which is generally like sort of like blues based and like rock based. But when I go to these experimental shows, they make me feel something that I don't get from those other types of music. It's like really, it's extreme. It pushes your ears literally. It like the bass beats in your chest. And like when you see a really good performance of someone like giving their all in the noise, it's absolutely crazy. And it's a feeling that you can't really get seeing other types of music. So.
Of just like,
it's a festering wound.
It is nice to just make music that's like, I don't want to say horrible, but just like we don't care. Like, I mean, we truly do not care at all.
Unless you're having fun, right?
Yeah, and it makes us have fun. It's fun to listen back to.
It allows us to be creative because there's no expectation about it. And in our other projects, there's a lot of expectations.
But I kind of like making structured real music more now.
Now, what are you talking about?
Whenever I was around here when I was younger, there wasn't a place to play. You know what I mean? There wasn't. If you were doing really weird music, it was really hard to find a place to do it. So now that I'm older and I have this space and the ability to some resources, I like to be able to make that space for others, or at least attempt to. I like the people. It's about friendship for me, and but really it's just about communing with people. I like it whenever it works and people are excited by the set and had a good time. I mean, Tulsa's a really interesting community right now. The Tulsa Artists Fellowship has a lot to do with it because there are a lot of people here now. It's a close-knit community. We're not having sleepovers and stuff at everybody's. There's a lot of love and respect because we're just doing our own thing. We're not trying to impress other city or there's nobody to impress, and we're just having fun. But it's a good time.
It means nothing. Each performance can be different each time and have a different set of rules and things that make sound. So it's kind of open. There's no real meaning to it. Yeah, it is a community, and it could be like, I think extreme is often like loud and all of that stuff, and you know, like harsh, but there's like another side of it too. It's like extreme quiet, like the actions, the movements in relation to the sound and the objects that are in front of them. I just don't think about what people think about it. They kind of complete it, you know. I'm doing some things and then they receive it, and you know, then they go, oh, that was this.
I mean, look at yourself, for example. I mean, sometimes the right people just happen to be exposed to it, and they like get real into it, or fall into it, or just get like entrapped by it to a certain degree. It's kind of what it did to me. It just sucked me in, especially with like live shows and stuff. And sometimes people think it's silly, and sometimes people don't think it's like valid, or discount it because it's like not music or whatever. Not even just. Some people just aren't open-minded about their music they listen to, or it just doesn't happen to be like their taste, which is totally understandable. And I think that's usually it is. I think because it seems like anymore that people all claim like I'm into everything, or they like to be open-minded about their music and their art or their non-art or whatever. But sometimes, I mean, some of that stuff is just like too fringe for a lot of people, and that's understandable. It's just not their taste. But I think I commented on this earlier, but I think like lately there's definitely been a boom in its popularity. Probably the most historically it's ever experienced as a genre or a community or a style. And I think with like the internet, a lot of people are like looking for whatever's like new or trendy or weird or niche or something that rare or whatever people haven't found before. So I think it's a lot easier to get people to come out to those sort of shows and be in those sort of environments than it ever has been previously in history. Especially if you like just did like DIY spaces and stuff. But I think Tulsa's a great example of that. I mean, we'll go to a noise show tonight and there's probably going to be at least 40, 50 people out like there, and it's fucking Wednesday. But that doesn't happen in a lot of places, and it never used to happen previously. Really, for me, it was just like a medium to like, it was like the perfect medium for like personal expression, I guess is what I found. And I felt like I could articulate things better through sound than I ever could with words, as far as like ways I felt like my thoughts or my feelings or, you know, cliche stuff like that. Yeah, who are the extreme music community? Well, I don't know, that's like super hard to define, and like it can be anything that's like super local and niched up to being like a vast like global community with international festivals and stuff. And especially with like the arrival of the internet, I mean, it's made things so much easier to communicate and make that like scene a more tangible thing than it ever has been previously, because before that was all of course just like zines and distros and word of mouth sort of stuff, like most things. I would call somebody a coward all the time. Yeah, people that walk out of sets are cowards. People that don't come to the show in the first place are cowards. People who said they were going to come and didn't come are cowards. People who drink your last beer are cowards. People who aren't open-minded enough to even attempt to appreciate it are for sure cowards.
Cowards. Cowards! This is fucking cowards.
Play that one about the coward.
Fucking everyone's a coward.
Yeah.
Of a territory I haven't ever delved into. I've been mostly punk or metal, and I was like, that's the genre I've listened to since I was young and never really tried my hand at. It's a little more straightforward than anything I've ever done, so it was like a challenge I wanted to take. I think vocally and lyrically, yes, I think it's a little more easy to understand and relate to for a wider range of people. You're not just, I mean, I guess I'm yelling and screaming, but musically it's a little more aesthetically pleasing than other shit I've done. So
even with the record we're recording right now, the artwork that actually Brian's been working on has deeper meaning than just like a cool picture on the cover of a cassette tape or whatever. It's actually got meaning behind it, and kind of reflects some of the stuff that's in the lyrics.
It's awesome. I ran a venue like 10 years ago, and Matt from Bone Magic actually used to play there. and it's just neat to come full circle and play shows together this much longer, later in time. It's awesome. I mean, this noise scene has been going on for so long, and people are starting to really catch on. There were not this many people at those shows we used to have, I can tell you that much. Haven't people like killed animals behind glass as art? I mean, if that's art, what isn't art? I'm pretty sure I've seen that. They got a lot of shit, but, art, for every person that's going to say that, there's 100 that will appreciate it. So that's what art is.
I never look at it as bullshit, because I've put money into it, I've put time into it, I've driven, I've bashed my head in, I've cut my arms, I've done all these different things, pertaining to, the art and stuff though. I think a lot of people can be pretentious about it. A lot of people who just kind of brush it off as a hobby. Far from it, it's been greatly rewarding. Am I trying to make a statement? With some things, yes. Other things, no. It's personal, probably 90% of the time. Statement, 10% of the time. But to outsiders, it's really hard. I can see how people can make these lame jokes or see it as a thing that people who don't know how to play instruments do, noise or whatever though, which is so far removed, Emotional stuff around it, it's the cliched, broken heart, growing old, dying, coping, repeating, but it's cathartic, but that endearing sense of when you're overcoming heartbreak, but the just perpetual heartbreak. Sincere, other people who do it are going to see yeah, cool, fuck off, you're a fucking poser, a fucking coward and shit, just trying to co-opt what we're doing and stuff though. I'm not trying to be gatekeeper or anything like that. You know, I love it when people like come in or actually having a love for it. But when it's just more of like they're trying to parody it and stuff, though, it's just cool. Yeah, you know, I don't fucking care. It's passion, you know. I mean, it's like it's been the most rewarding thing, and hasn't only been detrimental, you know. But I've been able to travel. I've been able to make friends with some great people, you know. I mean, outside of that genre, probably not have met such of these great people, you know. But like, it's definitely been a facilitator of being able to, you know, allow me to have these opportunities and to, like, I always feel like, you know, noise has like this like back door to other genres and like other walks of life, you know, and stuff, and that's great, you know. If you have a drive to see something different, if you want to see something outside your comfort zone, if you're wanting to be exposed to something new, if you have a real passion to see boundaries pushed, yeah, go. If you're not into it, don't go. I mean, I'd rather be there surrounded by 4 people who are totally into it than like 100, you know, like people like just being there for clout, you know, or scene cred or some shit.
I mean, with the live acts, you can bring all sorts of audiences to that, and they'll, at the very least, they'll be like, oh, fuck, this is, like, really entertaining. Even if they're not into it necessarily, just because it's, like, so enthralling, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
And if your mind is set, you're not going to like it. If you're curious and you see somebody who is really, you know, if you see a really good set or something really interesting, it might be life-changing for you.
Within the scene, I encourage people who are wanting to, who have a legitimate interest, check it out, make it for themselves and stuff though. But in the same breath, you know, it's not my place to choose what they like or what they don't like. But as being a curator of Tulsa Noise Fest, come out, you know, commerce, you know, come watch the show, you know.